Imagine that you're fast asleep in your bed when you're abruptly awoken by a raging tornado violently ripping the roof straight off of your house. Or imagine that you wake up and your home is completely surrounded by flames with nowhere to run or hide. These are precisely the situations that some found themselves in this week's video. My name's Ryan from Tragedy Tales, and without any messing about, here are 5 crazy natural disasters caught on camera. This terrifying footage begins just north of Sacramento, on Thursday, November the 8th, 2018, in Northern California's Butte County. As the year crept into its autumn season, California was hot off the heels of a brutal summer drought. With far lower than usual rainfall in the northern and central plains, it left the grass and the shrubbery dry as a bone, prime for a wildfire. That Thursday morning, the day started just like any other. As many dozed in their beds, at approximately 6:30 a.m., high up a steep canyon on Camp Creek Road, a power line known as the Carribo-Palermo transmission line suddenly malfunctioned. The nearly 80-year-old power line had become worn and not adequately maintained. A vital C-hook holding up a 150,000-volt line snapped. The electrified line came crashing down, impacting with the metal pylon, causing sparks to fly in every direction. These sparks would instantly set fire to the parched grass and trees below, and this would start the most deadly and most destructive wildfire in California's history. 15 minutes later, at 6:44 a.m., workers from the Pacific Gas and Electric Company, California's largest utility company, arrived at the scene after calls about the fire. But by then, the blaze had already spread to 10 acres. Workers at the scene radioed in, saying that they'd observed rapid fire growth and extreme fire behaviour, and that this had the potential to turn into a major incident. Wind speeds approached 50 miles an hour. With every gust of wind, the flames would leap from one dry surface to another. Less than 30 minutes after it started, at 7 a.m., the fire reached the sparsely populated towns of Concow and Magalia, where a total of 13,000 people resided. As the trees burned in the hills, plumes of dark smoke rose into the sky while a cascade of embers showered on those below. Around 8 a.m., just 8 miles from the power line, the fire reached the next town. This time, it was Paradise, located in the Sierra Nevada foothills above the northeastern Sacramento Valley. As searing embers drifted in the wind, they settled on roofs in Paradise, quickly setting houses alight. Before there was any time to react, the flames got out of hand, and Paradise and its surrounding towns were given orders to evacuate. While the order to leave as soon as possible was given, due to the ferocious speed of the fire, sadly, most of the residents of Concow and many residents of Paradise were unable to evacuate before it arrived. Those who could evacuate rushed out of their homes in the morning in pajamas, eagerly packing possessions and vital supplies in their cars and trucks, driving in any direction away from the flames and to safety. In a matter of hours, an urban firestorm started in Paradise, turning the town into hell on earth. First responders said that they'd never seen a fire like that before. They'd never seen so much destruction and flames. There were 20 to 30 foot walls of fire in every direction. Thousands prayed as they drove through the flames. As it reached up to the roads and tickled over the asphalt, the smoke and ash turned the day to night. Helicopters and air tankers flew overhead, showering water and fire retardant on the fire to try to control what could not be controlled. But the wind was so strong, as it blew, it continued to carry the flames far and wide. As they continued to scorch, the arrival of the first winter rainstorm finally brought its reign of destruction to an end. On November the 25th, the fire reached 100% containment, burning for a total of 17 days, destroying approximately 154,000 acres of land. The campfire, dubbed from the road it originated, killed 84 innocent people and destroyed more than 18,000 homes and buildings, with most of the destruction occurring within the first 4 hours. The total damage is estimated to be at $16.5 billion. Paradise and its small neighbouring towns were turned to dust and ash. The fire almost completely wiped them out, each losing 95% of their buildings. As of the 2020 census, Paradise's town population was just 4,764, down from 27,000. In total, 5,600 firefighters, 622 engines, 75 water tenders, and numerous hand crews and helicopters worked to fight the blaze. 7 months before the fire, PG&E employees found C-plates similar to those pictured on screen to be worn more than halfway by fretting corrosion. Some were estimated to be 72 years old. However, these were not repaired and instead left to cause this terrible ordeal. PG&E admitted fault and that same month filed for bankruptcy, expecting wildfire liabilities of above $30 billion. Pakistan was hit with record-breaking back-to-back heat waves in May and June of 2021. Some provinces even reached temperatures of 49 degrees Celsius, making it one of the hottest temperatures ever recorded in April. Due to the record-breaking heat, glaciers began to melt in the Himalayas, causing flooding in the Gilgit-Baltistan provinces in Pakistan. Thankfully, the heat waves slowly petered out, and it began to get much cooler. Monsoon season kicked in mid-June, and at first, the rain was much needed, feeding thirsty plant life and livestock. However, 1 week later, it was still raining. The downpour did not stop for 3 months, making 2021 the most severe monsoon season in 13 years. Millions of people now sat inside their homes, slowly flooding the fields and roads, praying for the rain to stop. Soon, the rivers began to swell with rainwater, and things just went from bad to worse. The rivers and lakes all began to burst their banks, and severe flooding swept across Pakistan. As the ground was completely solid from the recent heat waves, no water could be absorbed into the ground, consolidating the floods further. By August 1st, at least 437 people had lost their lives. The rain continued to pour all August. 1/3 of Pakistan was now underwater, forcing the evacuation of hundreds of thousands of people, destroying 900,000 houses and leaving 2.1 million homeless. Some provinces saw 800% more than usual rainfall. In total, 1,739 people lost their lives, including 647 children, leaving an additional 12,800 injured. Pakistan's Minister for Climate Change called the floods unprecedented, saying that they were the worst humanitarian disaster of this decade. In terms of tornadoes, the year of 2011 for the United States started quiet, with only 9 tornadoes across the whole country in January. Nothing compared to the 3-day tornado outbreak that they just experienced on New Year's Eve. Tornadoes slowly increased monthly, up to that very fateful day of April the 27th, 2011. In April alone, history was made when the United States were hit by 773 tornadoes in 1 month, killing a total of 363 people. In the early hours of the 27th, a significant severe weather warning was issued for Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee. These states would go on to experience some of the most volatile weather in modern history. Cold air sitting above Canada and the Midwestern states met warm air pushing from the Gulf of Mexico to create what we now know as a super outbreak. At approximately 4 a.m., April the 27th, lightning lit up the sky and tornadoes began to rip through entire towns. Hundreds woke up to wailing tornado sirens, which did not stop all day. More and more tornadoes formed, and some traveled for 120 miles, leaving death and destruction in their wake, destroying houses, phone lines, roads, hospitals, and vital infrastructure.
Wow, that is a massive tornado. Ah, hell, I think it's coming this way. Holy cow. Holy cow, that thing is big.
In this photo, you can see the asphalt has literally ripped straight off of the road. 12 hours of tornadoes later, at approximately 4 p.m., a sizable EF4 tornado struck Tuscaloosa, Alabama, killing 44 people. Shortly after hitting Tuscaloosa, the same tornado hit the northern suburbs of Birmingham, Alabama, killing 20 more people. According to television reporters on the scene, when they tried to film the tornado, even being miles away, the funnel was so vast that they could not zoom their cameras out far enough to get the entire funnel into the frame at once. On the 27th, 4 Titan EF5 tornadoes formed, with Mississippi being hit by 2 out of the 4. Typically, EF5 tornadoes are recorded no more than once per year. Some of these traveled 132 miles, topping speeds of 235 miles per hour. The tornadoes continued to form up until the evening of the 28th, and only then did the full scale of the destruction become apparent. The death toll now stood at more than 340 people across 6 states. From the 25th to the 28th, 360 tornadoes hit 15 states, with 216 just on the 27th alone, causing record-breaking damage. The 2011 super outbreak was the costliest and most deadly tornado outbreak in United States history, with the total damage reaching $10.2 billion. On the 28th of September 2018, the people of Indonesia were going about their day completely unaware of what was brewing just below the surface. Around 3 p.m, completely out of the blue, an earthquake struck central Sulawesi, its epicenter located 55 kilometers north of Palu, located on Indonesia's northeastern coast, home to 373,000 people. Now, Indonesia is no stranger to earthquakes, as they're situated along the Ring of Fire, where 80% of the world's earthquakes happen. They're hit by earthquakes all the time. This quake, however, was strong. Measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale, this quake shook and turned houses to rubble. At approximately 6:03 p.m, as people were making their way back home from their jobs, possibly stuck in rush hour traffic, another earthquake struck. This time, it was an absolute monster, measuring 7.5 on the Richter scale, with its epicenter also located north of Palu. This second earthquake would be the most devastating earthquake to hit the country since 2004. Because its epicenter was so close to densely populated areas, it was massively destructive. Over 2,000 people died, and over 70,000 more were displaced, and thousands went missing. Hundreds of people were instantly killed as buildings collapsed around them while they conducted their evening prayers. Blackouts occurred in the area and phone lines went down, crippling first responders' communication. Sadly, things soon took a turn for the worse. Just 5 minutes after the second quake, Indonesia's meteorological agency issued a tsunami warning. Warnings were sent via SMS, and residents of Palu were told to expect tsunamis with heights of 0.5 meters. Despite officials sending a warning on every avenue, due to a lack of electricity and phone signal, tsunami sound alarms were not activated. So when the tsunami hit, most had no idea there even was a risk at all. What made it worse is that when it did arrive, it was far larger than expected. The worst hit was the city of Palu. That morning, hundreds had gathered for a festival on the beach. As Palu is situated at the end of a narrow bay, the tsunami's power increased dramatically when the waves entered. Instead of small half-a-meter waves, officials confirmed that the waves that struck Palu had reached heights of 5 meters, some as high as 6 meters. Eyewitnesses recorded that hundreds were still strolling along the beach when the tsunami hit. They didn't stand a chance. As the 6-foot high waves swept through Palu, hospitals, homes, and families were destroyed. Because of the tsunami and the earthquake, it triggered a rare phenomenon known as ground liquefaction. This is something that can occur when an earthquake is strong enough to destroy the soil's integrity. What it does is it literally blends the ground with the groundwater. The hard soil instantly turns into a muddy river that can swallow houses, taking things deep underground. Many residents of the Balara district of Palu said, and I quote, that the ground cracked open, the mud swirled in circles, swallowing people and houses. As the weeks went on, by October, there were still recovering victims buried in mud, with 80% dying from insane mudslides or crushed by buildings, collapsing to ruins with them inside. On Thursday, October the 11th, due to the difficulty in recovering bodies, the government officially called off the search for the thousands still missing. The quakes, tsunamis, and the ground turning to literal water killed more than 4,340 people and displaced more than 170,000 out of their homes. Hospitals and homes were rebuilt, but up to this very day, they are yet to fully recover. Sadly, this footage originates again from Indonesia, this time on the greater Sunda island of Java. Java is home to half of Indonesia's population and is famous for its 2006 earthquake that claimed the lives of 5,000 people. However, just 17 miles north of the major city of Yogyakarta, in central Java, lies Mount Merapi, standing at 9,551 feet tall. Known as Gunung Merapi, meaning the fire mountain in Indonesian, Merapi is Indonesia's most active volcano and is well known for erupting, with smoke often seen billowing from the top. Despite the fact it's well known for erupting, people still live within the danger zone. The city of Yogyakarta is just 17 miles from the volcano, along with various other villages sprinkled across the slopes. In March of 2010, the first signs of eruption showed themselves. Tilt meters showed that the volcanic dome under the ground had become bulged. On September the 20th, 2010, the alert level for Merapi was raised from normal to advisory. Just 1 month later, scientists were alerted to 500 volcanic earthquakes under the mountain, raising its warning level to the highest level. On Tuesday, October the 26th, just as the scientists had warned, Merapi burst from the ground, erupting 3 times in the space of just 1 hour, with a volcanic explosivity index of 4. Pyroclastic flows travelled 3 kilometers down the heavily populated slopes. The ash and the risk of lahars forced everyone who lived in a 20-kilometer zone around the volcano to evacuate. As they did, deadly pyroclastic flows tumbled from the mountainside, and columns of smoke and sulfur dioxide rose 1.5 kilometers into the air, heavily disrupting aviation. Volcanic bombs and heat clouds, with temperatures up to 800 degrees Celsius, spread over a distance of 10 kilometers from the mouth of the volcano. A village located just 15 kilometers from the volcano was completely buried in 30 centimeters of choking ash. Roads were completely blocked with cars and motorcycles as residents tried to flee the hazard zone. It was an absolute nightmare. As thousands huddled down in makeshift evacuation centres, they became dangerously overcrowded. And to make things even worse, heavy rain on November the 4th then caused lahars, sending destructive volcanic landslides into towns and infrastructure. Merapi continued erupting for weeks, spewing ash and volcanic debris everywhere, until Friday, December the 3rd, the eruptive activity subsided and the official alert level was reduced from 4 to 3. Over 350,000 people were made homeless by Merapi, and sadly, 353 people died, many as a result of the pyroclastic flows. They were trapped in their houses as the intensely hot cascade of death raced towards them, knowing that there was nothing they could do. From that day onward, many people living on the mountain were moved to safer permanent homes far away from the risk zones. Dams were built on the mountain to stop lahars before they reached civilization. They also improved their evacuation strategy. But that is the end of the video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And as usual, if you're not subscribed and you enjoy this list style content, smash that subscribe button now. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.